With the NFL draft now concluded, there has been a lot of commentary on the situation with Shedeur Sanders and him slipping in the draft, and cries of racism and collusion and blackballing. Now, for a second, it looked like maybe there was something going on, but he got drafted. So you can't run on the stuff of blackball and collusion anymore when he got drafted. And if you want to cry racism, you sound kind of silly. Although it's all over my timeline from people that should be smarter, but they don't seem to understand football because they just run out their mouths and say that this is racism. Maybe it was anti-Dion, but it wasn't racism because I'm so tired of hearing about I'm so tired of the commentary of the strong young black man. Man, the whole flipping league is black. 75 to 80% of the first round draft picks were black. The number one pick was black. Like, Cam Ward is a black man. You think Cam Ward is not confident as shit? Have you watched Cam Ward play? But there's a difference between being confident and being an arrogant, cocky, unrelenting douchebag when you're on the football field. Keep saying this. This is not an off the field deal with Shedeur Sanders. I don't know anything about him off the field. He's never had any issues with the law. I've never heard of him being arrested, issues with the law. You don't hear about any kids floating around. I mean, for the first time, I think we saw he has a girlfriend. None of the stuff that you say or you speak on when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, at least from my perspective, has anything to do with off the field. It's all about behavior and attitude on it. And that's inclusive of anything involving football, people. It's not just about in between the lines. It's comments you make in press conferences. It's attitude perceived. It's going to NFL combine and saying, well, if you're not looking to change your franchise, don't draft me. Like the arrogance that just comes from him. Again, this is not a matter of being a strong black man. It's not. It's a matter of being a disrespectful, self-indulged, egotistical person. And for everyone that wants to sit here and say, oh, you're trying to keep him down. No, what they're saying is they don't want that playing quarterback. Because there are plenty of guys just like that play wide receiver, that play running back, that play corner. They don't play middle linebacker, and they don't play quarterback. It's just that simple. And that's what the NFL just told you. The NFL told you this. Mike Tomlin told you this. But the cries of it being a racist league, and yeah, maybe it is a racist league. I'm not going to freaking argue that. But the cries of this being all racism, well, let me ask you a question. But before we start, welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Pro Football Corner. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomot. Like, subscribe, and follow. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts and your response to my video here today. There are a lot of players that went undrafted in this particular draft. A lot. You only think of Shedeur because he's been pushed into your face for so long. Let me remind you about Shedeur Sanders because you don't really know him. Shedeur Sanders was actually committed to go to Florida Atlantic University out of high school. He was a nobody level recruit, an undersized quarterback. He was going to be going to low mid-major school, Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, 15 minutes from my house, and he had signed with Willie Taggart. When his dad took the job at Jackson State, Willie Taggart let him out of his deal, out of his commitment, out of his back then was letter of intent, let him out of it, and he went to Jackson State to play for his dad. If he had just stayed at FAU, we might be having a completely different conversation. We might be having the conversation that Shedeur Sanders' football playing days are over. Or we might be having a conversation that Shedeur Sanders was one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in college. We don't know what that conversation would be. But he spent 2 years playing substandard level football, playing at Jackson State. I know people at Jackson State might not like it, but it's substandard level football. It's Division One AA football. It was a team of guys brought together by Dion to dominate HBCUs. A bunch of Division One players that couldn't cut it at Division One, moved to Division One AA, playing with guys like Travis Hunter, who I mean, my God, that's like Travis Hunter on a football field in Division One AA is like a varsity player playing a freshman in high school. Like it's unfair. It's unfair. Yet and still, with all of that, Jackson State did not win the Celebration Bowl either time. They lost. They lost the Black National Championship in the Celebration Bowl twice. One time getting blown out. And they were big favorites both times. Point being, couldn't win that. Goes to Colorado. Offense is built all around him. He gets to throw the ball forever and ever and ever, hold the ball forever, and then gets to blame his offensive line when it doesn't perform well. But the point of this is that there are a lot of things to his game that could be justifiable to an NFL team to not draft him. But again, he got drafted. I do think he was a first round level pick. I'm not an NFL owner. I'm not an NFL GM. I'm not an NFL coach. I don't make that decision. I thought it made perfect sense to draft him to the Saints. I thought it made perfect sense to draft him with the Giants. But apparently he completely bombed that interview because Brian Daboll has said he came completely unprepared, didn't know what to do on the whiteboard. The whiteboard is a big thing for quarterbacks. If you don't know what to do on the whiteboard, you're not the right guy. I mean, bro, the whiteboard matters if you're being interviewed as a quarterback. But now let's look at other stuff. So you have the Giants say no, the Saints say no, and the team that I thought would definitely say yes is Pittsburgh, because at least it has them with the future in mind. When they get, because Aaron Rodgers is gonna sign. It's just a matter of how long he plays this diva card. He's gonna sign. But when you look at it, when Mike Tomlin said no, you knew there was a problem. Like, you knew there was an issue here. Because that was also a guy that you think is a strong black male figure head coach who's been around for a long time. It made sense. At least to me it did. It made sense. Pittsburgh. Now, remember, Dion also said they weren't going to play at a lot of schools. You got to remember that. He said they were not going to play at a lot of schools. So if you're not, I'm not schools, a lot of teams. Like, he didn't want to go to a number of teams. Those are genuinely the teams that need quarterbacks. And then on top of that, cold weather climate. Okay, you don't want that either. Well, now you end up in probably one of the nastiest places there is for cold weather, and just all in out gloom and doom in Cleveland. God bless y'all, Cleveland people. You don't want to live there either. Realistically. But when you have that, when you look at it from that perspective, and you understand it more, you understand this is not racial. It's not. But yeah, I get it. At this point in life, I've come to accept the fact that Black America defend Black people, everything Black all the time, no matter how silly it might be. And you may not like what I'm saying. I don't give a shit. Let me show you a few players that did not get selected in this draft. And I'm going to start out with one who happens to be someone that I've seen play a whole lot of football. A whole lot. Okay? Here is the first one. Xavier Restrepo. I'm starting off with Xavier Restrepo for a reason. I'm a Hurricane fan. I've seen this dude play a ton. Okay? He had a horrendous pro day. He ran slow as hell. I will tell you this. When I saw that, I felt, oh my goodness, this is a disaster. Xavier Restrepo's a flipping All-American. The dude was a first team All-American. Depending on the publication, he was either first team or second team All-American. Bro, you got a dude who's an All-American, first team All-American, and you're sitting here telling me that the first team All-American wide receiver can't play football? The guy who has, I think he set every record in the history of Miami Hurricanes football, or most of the records in Miami Hurricanes football, in terms of, let me check, is it yards, receptions for sure? I think he might actually have the yardage mark as well. I can tell you this. Yeah, most receptions, most receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. He holds the record for most 100-yard games in Miami history. I mean, dude, this guy is a football player. He caught 69 passes for 1,127 yards last year, 11 touchdowns. The year before, 13 games, 85 catches, 1,092 yards, 6 touchdowns. Over 2 seasons, over 2,200 yards receiving, 150 plus catches, 17 touchdowns. And I've watched Xavier Restrepo play football. The man can play football. He ran a shitty 40 time at the pro day. And I know he ain't that type of, I know he's faster than that. I've seen the guy play football. And see, that's a lot of the argument that's being made for Shedeur. Watch the tape. Watch the tape. Okay, I watched the tape. I watched the tape of a guy that holds the ball a lot, holds the ball a long time, a guy who's not incredibly athletic, a guy that's not incredibly fast. Okay. There's arguments to be made that say why he fell. The same way there are arguments to be made that say why Xavier Restrepo fell out of the draft. He was a projected 4th round pick, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick. Think about that for a second. First team All-American is a projected 5th round pick. 5th round pick. One of the best receivers in college football over the last 2 years. And you're sitting here saying this dude is not a 1st round pick. Why? Because he doesn't run a 4.4? He's a slot receiver. He's a slot receiver in the NFL. I've seen this kid play. He can run, man. He's not a 5.0 runner. He's not a 5.0 40. He runs a 4.6, clean 4.6. I've seen the kid run. I don't need a 40 time to see him on a football field. I know he can run. I've watched him outrun people. Xavier Restrepo can play football. Is it racist that he didn't get drafted? Is it racism that the Hispanic kid from Deerfield Beach, Florida, didn't get drafted? Is it? No, it's not. That's the point. It's not. You have a guy like this who on film is everything. But NFL teams don't just base it on film. They look at so many things. I mean, Restrepo's not a big dude. He's small. He's 5'9". I don't know what he's listed. What is he listed at? Is it a 5'10"? He's not 5'10". I've stood right next to this guy. He's not 5'10". I've literally stood right next to him. He's not 5'10". He's not a big dude. But in the right situation, Xavier Restrepo is going to be a mofo in the NFL for a very long time. You're looking at a Wes Welker, a Wayne Corbett. You're looking at that type of player right there, an Amendola, a Julian Edelman. Like, that's what you're looking at. This guy's going to play in the NFL for 10 years. The Titans getting him as an undrafted free agent to play with Cam Ward, he's going to make the team. He's going to make the team. Mark it down. This dude is a dog. He has a dog in him, man. But I brought him up first because I know of him so well, having watched him play for so many years. He can play football. Now you go to Nick Nash. Nick Nash, was it racism that he didn't get drafted too? I mean, obviously he's mixed. He's a mixed black and white or black and Asian or something like that. But is it racism that he didn't get picked? Why aren't people crying for him? I'm asking these questions out loud. Why aren't you crying for him? You're crying for Shedeur. Nick Nash this past year had 104 catches, 1,382 yards, and 16 touchdowns. He led the nation in touchdown catches. He led his conference in receptions and yards. He's an All-American, first team All-American. The dude is 6'1", 185. He's not a huge guy, slim dude. What did he run the 40? And I actually have no idea. Let's see, 40 time. He ran a 4.57. He also measured at 6'2.5" and 203 pounds. So he's actually bigger than what he's listed on this particular thing. Again, he ran a 4.57. Now think about that for a second. Jerry Rice wasn't a burner. Caught the ball. Now, Nick Nash only has a limited career at wide receiver because he did play some quarterback early on in his career, his first 3 seasons. But his last year at San Jose State, he absolutely crushed it. How did he not get drafted? How did he not get drafted? Again, NFL teams view things differently. And that's the whole point. If you look at film, though, he's a football player. Am I wrong or am I right? Again, he is a football player. Now, ask yourself that question. I mean, good grief. Let's look at a couple more before we jump off this thing. Now, here's another guy that didn't get drafted, Isaiah Bond. Now, Isaiah Bond had a little different story here. He had some stuff that popped up recently about some sexual assault allegation. Again, this is another reason why I think sexual assault allegations against the individual being accused should also be protected from being disclosed publicly until you have a resolution. Now his future has been largely crushed, with him having this sexual assault allegation that's popped up earlier this month and led him to not getting drafted. He ran a 4.39 in the 40. He ran a 4.39. The dude is hella fast, and he has that now. He has that in his hair. Now his numbers themselves, they weren't great. They weren't all over the place. I mean, they weren't crazy. He only had 34 catches for 540 yards the year before. His first 2 years at Bama. He did better at Bama last year, the year before, but he's an elusive receiver. Now, again, he played at Texas this past year. They won a lot. He played at Bama. They won a lot. How much did this sexual assault situation impact him? My guess is it probably impacted him a lot. It probably impacted him a lot. Now, again, is this racism? Is it racism that he didn't get drafted? That's the thing. I'm literally pointing out multiple guys that were expected to be drafted that in reality should have been drafted based on their skill on field. Bond can play football. don't get it twisted. He can play football. And now he's not drafted. I don't even know if he's been picked up. I know that got picked up by the Titans, and was Nick Nash signed by anybody? Nick Nash signed with the Falcons. He signed with the Falcons. I don't see that Isaiah Bond has been signed by anybody yet. He's got a problem on his hand. This assault allegation is going to be sexual assault is going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big problem for him. Oh, wait. Does it say here? there's a prediction of him signing with Kansas City, but I mean, I don't know how you can predict that. I mean, we'll see. That was as of yesterday. I don't see that he's signed yet. The whole point to this is, look, man, you gotta understand, looking from the real perspective. The real perspective is that there were a lot of issues with Shedeur Sanders. It wasn't like he was Cam Newton. It wasn't like he was some sculptured quarterback. He wasn't some elite athlete, cannon for an arm. There were things, man. Whether you like them or not, there were things that made the NFL team say, "Yeah, nah." And none of them had to do with being a strong black man. Like, stop it. It just that just sounds fucking silly to me. I can't stand when I hear stupid shit like that. That just sounds so damn silly to me. But that's what people want to run with because it makes them feel better. God forbid. Again, this just goes back to zero fucking accountability. There's no accountability for anything. Be accountable. Be accountable. Be accountable for what you do. Be accountable for what you say. Be accountable for your actions. Everything that you do and say, you got to be accountable for it. And if the NFL is holding you accountable for it, maybe you should start holding yourself accountable for these things as well, and understand that you might have to change some behaviors if you want to have an NFL career. So, but Xavier Restrepo, was it racism then? No. He ran a 5 in the fucking 40 at the pro day. Like, that's gonna help him. Probably shouldn't have run. If his hamstring or groin was that bad, he shouldn't have run. He'd been better off not running and just say, look at the film, because the film is where it's at. So if you're gonna sit here and cry about whatever, understand that if I look at Xavier Restrepo's film, he's a football player. If I look at Shedeur Sanders' film, he's a football player. If I look at Nick Nash's film, another football player. Those guys did not get drafted. Shedeur got drafted. But you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Love to hear what you have to say about this. How do you feel about it? Do you find it to be racism or not? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you agree with me, or do you have some other thought in your mind? So let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and follow. Hit the bell. This is Pro Football Corner. Come on now.